can this, Brian, be sustainable here for the Golden State Warriors? Because they've looked pretty good with Jimmy Butler.
Well, they're in a tough spot in the standings because they had a rough December and January, but they are still time and there's still maneuverability in the West. And if they can somehow, the goal, and Steve Kerr has said this, get to sixth. Get to sixth, because last year they didn't make it through the play-in. So if they can get to sixth, they like their chances with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, and I respect it. We'll see how this next month and a half goes.
We'll see. I mean, listen, there's a lot of experience. When you talk about a Lakers team, you talk about a Denver team and stuff like that, game slows come playoff time. You never know how that could work against them, considering that they're relatively small or thin on their front line. But I got to tell you something. When I see some of the inexperienced teams that may be talented but inexperienced, and I think about Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler and Draymond being able to get at them, Golden State's very interesting and very, very scary because they're shot makers.
What Jimmy Butler does, he gives this organization a chance to compete for a championship. That's what he brings immediately. And what he brought, when you get that extension, they alleviated any need for him playing for contract or anything like that. He's only playing for wins. You see, he's not playing for shots. He's shooting a very low amount of shots per game. He's efficient from free throw, but he's guarding. There was a play the other night. He was guarding literally 1 through 5 on any given possession. And I know I saw what Brian said on the countdown earlier about the honeymoon period, and he does feel like this organization is better than any other organization he's been a part of. But I'm telling you, it's different this time. I haven't sensed the same feeling he's had when he went to Philly, when he went to Miami. This is different for Jimmy Butler going to Golden State. He's staying late for shoot-arounds. He's staying late for practices. He's spending so much time in the training room, the meal room. He's going above and beyond to ingratiate himself with the Warriors right now.
They're still a first-round exit, and let's put this in perspective. If they get the 8th spot, they're going to face the Oklahoma City Thunder. Anybody up here picking Golden State over OKC? No. Okay. If they get the 7th spot, they most likely are going to get probably Memphis, Denver, or the Lakers.
I think they have a chance against Memphis.
Memphis go fall down. Okay. You picking them up against the Nuggets or the Lakers?
But would you be surprised if they won?
Let's see. Let's just see how the next month and a half goes.
Let's see.
Yes, I think so.
Let's see how it goes.
I think the West is wide open.
Tim Legler joining us now. Tim, what has Jimmy Butler brought to Golden State here?
Well, look, we've talked about a lot of the things, and everybody keeps echoing the same things. Obviously, the toughness, the edge, the two-way player. 20 points a game is nice, but for me, I think it's his passing and his ability to understand where to go to occupy open spaces. His IQ is off the charts. We didn't really talk that much about it when Jimmy Butler came to Golden State because we knew they needed his offense. They needed his ability to isolate, get to the foul line. That helps their defense. It helps Steph Curry rest when he's taking, a minute of real time to go shoot those 2 free throws. All of those things matter. But I'm so impressed with his ability to fit in the confines of the continuity of their offense, because that was what you didn't know. How's that going to work out exactly? Well, Jimmy Butler just knows how to play basketball, and that's what Steve Kerr was alluding to. Simple plays that fit, and he keeps the flow moving. You don't have to disrupt anything for Jimmy Butler to be productive. That's been, I think, the biggest breath of fresh air in this acquisition, and there's no doubt they run out of the tunnel different. They feel better about themselves. They feel like they now have enough to compete against whoever's in front of them, and I'm not sure they did prior to Jimmy arriving there.
Look, this isn't, to me, a honeymoon. This just feels different. You talk about practice, right? In Miami, he really barely practiced. In Golden State, he is practicing. In Golden State, he's staying late, showing up early, in film session, in the meal room, the training room. He's spending time with teammates, trying to ingratiate himself more and more. And the commitment that the Warriors gave him with the extension, that's the same commitment he's given back. And in recent weeks, he's had dinner with Draymond Green. They played dominoes. I do expect him and Stephen Curry to get together here very soon on an intimate level. And what we're seeing here is a repeat of history. You think about players like Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, both playing a lot better since Jimmy Butler has been there. And this is the most important stat to me.
Yeah.
Before Jimmy Butler got there, the Warriors were minus 90 when Stephen Curry was off the floor. With Jimmy Butler's arrival in the last few weeks, the Warriors are plus 30. That alone makes this trade a massive win for the Warriors.
It's always been the Golden State Warriors sort of issue is how do they contend with the non-Steph minutes? How do they stay afloat in those minutes that he's off the floor? And with Jimmy, they've looked pretty good so far. I think the definition of not being a honeymoon stage is this lasts for a while and they get their goal of being a top 6 seed. How sustainable is that, Brian?
Well, though, they've got the second easiest schedule coming in the West.
Right.
So when you look at that, you also look at it, they're 2 games out of being in 6, which is their goal.
Right.
What I found interesting is what Draymond said. I know some people smiled at it when Draymond said this team can win the championship. I'm going to pay attention to that a little bit. While I'm not certainly saying that, the reason I think he feels that way, number one, he likes the direction of the team. Number two, he's looking at the teams in front and saying, this is really unclear how this is going to fall. You know, you look at the East, the Cavs have been 1 for the whole season. The Celtics have number 2 locked down. The Knicks are pretty solidly in 3. You got a pretty good idea who's going to be 4 or 5. After the Thunder in 1, I don't know what's going to happen in the West.
Right.
And Draymond feeling that and seeing the opportunities here, I'm going to take that into account as I watch how this unfolds.
Well, and as we just showed in the standings here, they won. The Clippers lost. Of course, they were without Norm Powell, without Kawhi Leonard here. But a game and a half essentially separates 6 through 9 here in the Western Conference. It's the Clippers, it's the Timberwolves, it's the Mavericks, it's the Warriors. Who of those 4 teams is healthy right now? Just Golden State. And so you have to take that into account a little bit.
So it does seem that a lot of ESPN analysts, also NBA players, are starting to realize that Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors has been a big move, and the Golden State Warriors are looking to win that NBA championship. Now, we did talk about this last video, but as we all know, Draymond Green did say during the All-Star break that the Golden State Warriors are going to win the NBA championship, and the last time Draymond Green said that, they won it in 2022. So Draymond isn't going to be lying about this one, and I think it's honestly fantastic because they have definitely showed that over the last couple of games, because as I'm making this video, they are currently on a 3-game win streak, beating Rockets, Kings, and Mavericks. And they're not just beating easy teams, they are beating some tough teams, and I think it's fantastic to see where the Golden State Warriors have been going, because they are looking that they are going in the right direction. Now, when we look at the Golden State Warriors and specifically the Western Conference so far, we actually see the Golden State Warriors are currently ranked 9th. So they have a record of 30-27. Now, when you look at teams 6 through 8, so that's Clippers, Timberwolves, and Mavericks, who rank 6 to 8, they're all on 31 wins, while Warriors are on 30. So they're only 1 game behind pretty much. And on top of that, when we also look further, we also do see an easier matchups for the Golden State Warriors over the next couple of games. So we may see them take that 6th spot pretty quickly if they are able to string along some wins. And also if, you know, these other teams like the Mavericks, like the Timberwolves and Clippers are able, you know, to lose on some of those games. So the Warriors have definitely been in a very good position. They currently rank 3rd in the Pacific Division. But when we look at also, you know, the box scores of some of these games, it's honestly great to see just how great and effective the Golden State Warriors have been. And I think where Warriors have definitely shined bright on is definitely adding Jimmy Butler, not just to add that extra score, but also to add an extra inside score at that. It was great having Steph Curry, you know, Buddy Hield running that Klay Thompson sort of Splash Brother type mentality, but I think what the Golden State Warriors definitely lacked was an inside type of scorer, and I think someone like Jimmy Butler is definitely starting to add that to the mix. Jimmy Butler is a great inside scorer. We saw him go 5 from 9 in this Mavericks game, and also 8 from 8 from the free throw line, so he's able to really get to the line very effectively, and I think that's what makes Jimmy Butler so great and why he is such a great addition to this team. The fact that there are so many 3-point shooters out there on the floor, whether it's Moody, Podziemski, Hield, you know, the list really does go on and on. It opens up the place a lot more for Jimmy Butler to go to work and to be able to score at will. And I think that's really important coming into these games. Now, in this game against Mavericks, even though the Warriors didn't have the greatest shooting percentage, they only shot 30% from the 3-point line, they still were able to beat the Dallas Mavericks by a total of 24 points. So you definitely see the difference in the way that they are playing. The Warriors are also getting a lot more shots up. When you look at their field goals, Dallas Mavericks only got up 82 shots, while Golden State Warriors got up 98. So, you know, that's definitely a big difference there. We saw them the pace Warriors really push the ball very, very well. I think that's really important as of right now. Now, not only did they beat, the Dallas Mavericks by a significant margin, they also beat the Sacramento Kings by a total of 20 plus points as well. And in this matchup, they also did well, scoring and having an average of 46% from the three-point line as a team, while the Sacramento Kings only had 34% and also shot 93 field goal attempts versus Sacramento Kings only shooting 79. So where we see Golden State Warriors have definitely shined is definitely the pace that they are running at and the amount of volume of shots they're able to take. If they are able to get a pretty good percentage of around 40 to 50%, if they are out shooting these other teams, we definitely start to see Golden State Warriors be on the winning side of the ball, and that's what we have seen time and time again. And we definitely have seen that when it comes to the Golden State Warriors over the last couple of games, and it's only going to get better as time goes on.